Deuce Knight leaving. I think we're seeing a culture shift happen before our very eyes.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The pivot that we have seen from the Auburn football program and the fan base in just the last 48 hours has been pretty dramatic. Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Darrell, Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us today. What's the plan for Friday? When the portal opens, we tackle that. Is everything okay with the Auburn football program and the mass exodus we're seeing via the portal? And Auburn might be in the mix for some guys. We discuss all that on today's show. Deuce Knight leaving. That news broke about 2 hours after, or 2 hours prior to us recording this and having this conversation. Darrell, so still sitting with us, still somewhat raw. But the overall reaction to Deuce leaving from the fan base, dramatically different from when Cam Coleman left just about 24 hours prior. And I think with all of the stories and some of the reports and some of the former players speaking out about what's happening culturally within the Auburn football program, I think a lot of Auburn fans are like, you know what? Get all that crap out of here. Get that type of mentality that's only won 10 games over the last 2 years. It's okay to press restart because, look, most of us asked for change, and we're getting it. We're getting it. So I think the way folks responded to Deuce Knight's news versus Cam Coleman's, I don't want to say it's refreshing, but it certainly is eye-opening.
It's because it's the collective grouping of this instead of people focusing on the individual kids. I never like looking at the individual kids and going, glad he's gone, or he doesn't want to compete. It's collectively looking at, okay, this is truly a culture change. The Deuce Knight situation, what you're going to miss as an Auburn fan from Deuce Knight is his potential.
Correct.
With Cam Coleman, it was already his, his performance. And so Deuce Knight, you're basing it on promise, production. Cam Coleman, your morning production. Deuce Knight showed flashes. There's no doubt. But you really don't know until you throw him into a game. The tools are there. He's a 5-star. You're glad to have him. Of course, you'd want to keep him to learn the system, to hope he thrives under Golesh. Absolutely, all those things can be true. But you also are a little bit like, could Auburn win 8 or 9 games with Deuce Knight next year if he was the starter, right? Could he step right in and win some of these games? You see the writing on the wall when you see a guy like Byrum Brown enter the portal. Is he an instant fix? Is this what's going to happen, right? So Deuce Knight has a ton of tools. He's very toolsy, but it's more of, lacking and losing what he could be as to what he is at this point.
Yeah, right. And I mean, there was just some stuff that I don't think, I know it's a different age and guys have, they're putting their personality out there more because of the nature of media and all that, which big picture I think is fine. But some of the stuff he did on social media, I said consistently, I said it during the season, Darrell, where I pushed back. I'm like, I don't love a quarterback doing this. The future face of your program, I don't love him acting that way. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of Auburn fans, and myself included, was when the Cam Coleman report, Hayes Foss and On3 post that graphic that he's planning to enter the portal when it opens on Friday. And then the top comment there, because it garnered national attention, as it should, is, him posting the gif of, was it Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec doing the shocked reaction gif. And I think a lot of Auburn fans are like, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Like, what? So to me, I think that was a big moment where a lot of Auburn fans are like, all right, Alex Golesh won with Byrum Brown at USF. His stats and production are in an elite club of guys. Let's see what he can do.
If you would have told me 10 months ago that Deuce Knight was going to leave Auburn after 1 year, I would have really not found that too surprising, but I would have thought it was for a different reason. You and I talked about this. We thought, what kind of problem is Auburn going to have if Jackson Arnold balls out and has a great year and comes back again? Right. Deuce Knight will be gone. I mean, that's what we said. He'll be gone. He's not going to sit in.
Yeah, no, we did several shows on. I don't think you can keep both of them for 2026. Now, of course, neither of them will be on the roster. Yeah, right.
It's 1 year free agency now. And so is this a sign of him saying, well, I'd stay if I was going to start next year, and thinking that maybe someone's coming in over top of him? Does he want to go somewhere else where maybe Kenyatta Watson is comfortable? You know, what's the reasoning behind it? Is it dollars? There are so many factors that you don't know. I don't blame kids that jump in the portal for better opportunities, i.e., I'm a group of 5 player and I have an opportunity to play in the SEC. Go. I'm a backup in the SEC and I want to start, so I'm going to go to a place where I can start. Go. I get all that.
Sure.
I want to play for a program in the last 4 or 5 years that's competed every year for championships and playoff position. Go. Auburn checks some of those boxes. Some of them they don't. The money's there. The opportunity's there. The winning, the culture has not been, you know, and so there's a different pool for every kid as to why they leave. And I think we've seen that diversity in this class for a variety of reasons. People have left.
Yes. And I think when you look at each individual, I've said this on 2 different shows now, when you look at each individual departure, all of them with the exception of Cam Coleman, Deuce Knight, Amaris Williams, Jay Crawford, Can Lee, it's easy to look at and say, okay, this makes sense while they're leaving, whether it's the player wanting to leave or the Auburn coaching staff saying, hey, whether it's a fit from a scheme point of view or a personality or culture point of view, each individual case, with the exception of Cam Coleman, and you could argue Cam Coleman too, but I don't want to. You can if you want to, Darrell. They all make sense. It's when you zoom out and you're like, okay, but now we're about to push 30 of these individual cases. And that's where it's like, yeah, the culture thing might have been worse than we realized.
You left out one other variable of, you said the player might want to leave, jump in the portal. The coaching staff may push them in the portal. I think there's real scenarios out there, Zach, where the player doesn't want to leave, but the agent is saying the agent wants him to leave.
How many of those do you think are legit?
When I see Kerryon Johnson and Anthony Schwartz come out on social media and say, remember, the agent works for you, not the other way around, it tells me
that was in response to Cam Coleman, though.
Yes,
right? Do you think there's more than just the Cam Coleman scenario?
I definitely do. I think Can Lee. I think, perhaps Blockton. I mean, you're talking about a legacy that plays.
Blockton's market is fascinating. I can't wait to see what happens there.
But there's agents that may say, "Hey, even if you want to stay at Auburn, even jump in the portal, use it as leverage. You can always jump back out." It's the tale as old as time negotiating tactic, right? So that's why I've said all along, I will make my assessment, judgment, behavior, mood when the portal opens and the portal closes. Because if during that time frame, oh, by the way, Keshaun Singleton, the stud receiver.
Yeah, we're about to get there.
Yeah. So things like that happen. They're not coincidental. Let's wait and see. It's tough. Auburn's taking a lot of PR hits right now, a ton of PR hits. But as I've said before to you and Kyle, they didn't take those the last couple of years, but they took 5 and 7s on the field.
Right. Auburn's in the mix for some key guys. Keshaun Singleton, for one. They're also hosting one of the better tackles in the portal that would make a ton of sense. All that and more next, right here on Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Get in on the action. The college football playoff revving up, and you can live bet the college football playoff. You can do straight spreads. You can do money lines, whatever. Also a great way to do parlays. And they've got something else going on at FanDuel right now. Every Friday night before games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with the NBA happy hour. So before tip off, check out the FanDuel app, see what's dropping with that NBA happy hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's the NBA happy hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Kia Autosport Columbus. If you're in the market for a new vehicle in the Auburn, Opelika area, the Atlanta area, anywhere in the Southeast, it's worth the drive over to Columbus, Georgia. As soon as you walk in, say, hey, heard about you guys on Locked on Auburn. You're saving $500 right there on any new Kia. We've had people comment and reach out saying, thank you so much for this. Don't thank us. Thank Kia Autosport Columbus for giving everybody really good deals. And then, of course, we talk about it all the time. But with new Kia purchases, be sure to ask them, like, hey, tires for life, which is an incredible deal in and of itself. So check them out, KiaAutosportColumbus.com, or go see them. They're right off of Whittlesey Boulevard in Columbus, Georgia. Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us. You just mentioned him. Keshaun Singleton, reports of him planning to enter the portal dropped, 30 minutes or so before the Deuce Knight news happened yesterday. Auburn, much like Byrum Brown had been tied to Auburn, Keshaun Singleton had been tied to Auburn as soon as Alex Golesh was hired. It does sound like other schools are in on Singleton as far as wanting his services. Productive, 50 catches last year for 877 yards. He scored 8 touchdowns. And I'll do the math there for you. That is 17.5 yards per catch. That is an Alex Golesh receiver. That's what it looks like. And when you talk about bringing in a quarterback that knows the system and teaching everyone else around them, gosh, it'd be nice to have a guy like Keshaun Singleton to be a part of this receiving core that you're having to reload. And you already have a guy that knows the system. Obviously, production is valuable, but having a guy that's being able to help all these coaches that Golesh brought with him from South Florida from a player point of view, who's on the field, implement this offense. And a lot of what these receivers are doing, they're lined out super wide, Darrell. So it's going to be something a little different, a little unique. The starting point, the route tree is different. It's not as sophisticated, but a lot of it's based off of what you see, what the defense gives you. And I think having the player's point of view, bringing a player with him that knows the scheme already could be huge.
I agree with that. And I also think you need to keep a close eye on all we hear right now is who's going out. What happens when you start hearing who's coming in?
Yeah.
Maybe particular players that jumped in the portal start to see who's coming back the other way and go, wait a minute, I may want to play with that dude. Auburn's getting some dudes. I may want to jump out of the portal and get back on this team because of who they're bringing in. There's no data point yet. Wait to see what happens. You know it more than anybody else. We've talked about this. Players bring about other players. Players recruit players. You start getting stud receiver, stud quarterback, running back from West Virginia, offensive tackles. You start getting those people on your team. You look around and go, oh, wait a minute, maybe I do want to stay here and play here.
Yeah.
That's another aspect of this that is yet to be determined. But I love Singleton, and I'd love for the other Singleton, obviously Eric Singleton, to stay and have Singleton and Singleton. And that would be a really, really nice. And then the other kid, too, that hasn't entered the portal yet. There's some other names, receivers out there, too, that might enter the portal. So, yeah, that'd be a great get. Really would be.
There's another USF Singleton that's gotten some chatter, but he's like a defensive edge rusher. So that's a name worth looking at too, if that were to happen. Another one, and this is fascinating. We may have a larger discussion about this, but Oklahoma State has an offensive lineman, Grant Seagren, big guy, 6'6", over 300 pounds, played a lot at Oklahoma State last year. Hayes Fawcett put out a graphic of On3, put out a graphic that he's visiting Auburn January 2nd and 3rd. He's visiting Auburn, Oklahoma State, Arkansas. I think Northwestern was a fourth.
How do you visit the school you're currently at?
I saw somebody say it's because it's a bunch of like new faces. It's a new staff.
Here's how you visit. You walk out your dorm. Oh, I'm visiting. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
That's so weird.
I'm going to the union, student union. Oh, I'm visiting. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes, Zach, I shake my head in the stupidity at what this sport has become. And it's just 8 transfers, a kid listing his current school on his list of schools to visit. I mean, but would be a good get. I'm glad Auburn's getting the first visit.
Yeah, and that's great. We always say with transfers, you want to be the first. So we'll see if that happens. And I think the schools that he's going against, like if he's in the portal, like he's clearly interested in leaving Oklahoma State, then the others are Arkansas and Northwestern. So you think the level of competition there would make sense for Auburn. What's crazy about this, though, is you've got guys breaking visits, which would assume communication is happening. It's like, why are you wait till Friday to post that?
That's like Hayes Fawcett basically saying these 3 schools are tampering.
Yeah.
I mean, that in essence, that's what it is.
I guess this is just an example of like, no one really cares.
No one pays attention or enforces any of the rules. They say they're going to do it, but then they really don't care. They look the other way. And it started with NIL. You were supposed to be given money to provide goods and services. Then it wasn't supposed to be recruits that were getting NIL. That went by the wayside. Then you were supposed to get one transfer portal, transfer, and that went by the wayside. None of the rules are getting enforced. And that's what makes me wonder what happened in the summer when everybody thought Cohen was ahead of the curve on this recruiting thing and thought Auburn was doing it the right way and all these other schools are doing it the wrong way. Has one of those schools even gotten in trouble? No. Did Auburn's recruiting?
No, I think Cohen missed on that.
He missed. Unless he was saying, let's chill out with this recruiting stuff. You're overpaying for players.
Maybe.
We're not going to pay that for this guy. And then, oh, by the way, that recruit doesn't come to Auburn. He goes somewhere else where they're willing to pay. Maybe he reined it in a little bit and said, these recruiting classes they're completely overvalued. We're not going to do that. And so because of that, Auburn lost some players.
Yes.
We know, let's not beat around the bush. Auburn overpaid for guys. We thought it was about closing skills and being good in the living room and having a dynamic recruiting staff and certain people, Will Redmond, all them doing. Auburn just ended up in some cases just being the highest bidder, period.
Yeah, which then makes me like, was Hugh Freeze even a good recruiter?
Exactly.
Because
that's
even
my point.
The stuff he did at Ole Miss, it's like, well, we all know what happened there. So it's like, was he even a good recruiter?
He was good at Ole Miss when he was getting Brown and Metcalf and the Tunzel and those guys, and it turned out it got him in trouble.
Those guys, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hindsight, right? Is everything okay? And then, like, the plan for Friday, I was wrong about what this month would look like as far as the amount of announcements. I thought it would be much more quiet. Are guys going to make moves quickly on Friday? That's next, right here on Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets, Darrell. It's where you buy tickets. It's where I buy tickets. I exclusively buy tickets at Game Time. They've got this thing now where you can click on a section and it'll tell you the best value seat in that section. And
that's
of course,
pretty
you can see the view from your seat as well.
Yeah, you don't want to be sitting behind a pole. So that does give you
that's correct.
No obstruction viewing there. That helps you out with that.
That's correct. Also, knowing prices include all fees up front makes the whole process stress-free. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that is code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you so much for making Locked on Auburn your first listen every single day. Darrell Dapprich. I was expecting December to be much more quiet than it has been. But at this point, like if you think that you're entering the portal, like you have announced that you are entering the portal, I thought they would try to hide some of the tampering and discussions and all of that. I thought they would try to hide it more. Clearly nobody cares, which is fine. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it to be that rampant. So do you think people will commit on Friday to schools since all these discussions are probably already happening right now?
I do. I think that the opportunity needs to be seized. I think spots are crucial. I think if you want to go to certain schools that are very, very valued, you better go ahead and commit, or they'll say commit now, or we'll look somewhere else and your spot will be taken. So I think you will see. I think someone like Cam Coleman will be a lot more deliberate and will take a little bit longer because of who he's considering, and that there still is the possibility that he ends back up at Auburn. I do not think he is the Malcolm Simmons model of gone. I believe that Cam Coleman, there is still a path for him to come back to Auburn. I think he'd be one of the few that the staff would say, yes, I know you made your intent to go in the portal, but we would welcome you back. Do I see guys that entered the portal that Auburn's targeting jumping in right away? My gosh, it would be great if they were. Auburn needs some.
Do we get a Byrum Brown announcement? If it is him, do we get him on Friday?
I think you try to get, if you're the coaching staff, you try to get as many guys, and this isn't because of PR. This isn't because of window dressing. You try to get as many guys to commit as soon as possible. Number one, just to kind of quell the absolute panic a little bit. But then again, to do what I talked about earlier, to see other guys watching this and saying, oh, they're going to Auburn. They're going to Auburn. They're going to Auburn. As much as you get that, as early as you get that, might be very beneficial for reconstruction of your roster.
Yeah, I get that. I get that 100%. So fascinating to see how quickly that happens. Do we have a busy weekend? Is it all on Friday? Do they wait till Monday? I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. The way the athletic calendar is right now, we've never seen this model before. And so we didn't know what to expect going into December. Now, obviously, we'll have a much better idea. Curious to see what the actual first part of the portal window looks like, because I do think you're going to have another wave of it. There's going to be guys that feel good, and then, oh, you brought two other guys in that are older than me and have more experience at my position. Then you're going to have like the second wave. That's probably going to be a lot of backup and depth and potential. And that's probably when you backfill the roster. So I think it's going to happen in waves, Darrell. It's not going to be just a one-day thing. It's going to be chaos for like 2 weeks. It's going to be,
it will calm down some of the panic. In the 2 weeks of guys coming to Auburn, I really, really believe and appreciate what Anthony Schwartz has been tweeting about. Hey, I believe in this staff. Wait till you see the players are going to come to Auburn, that kind of stuff. And when they start coming and the dam breaks, you'll see a whole different perspective and a whole different view of how things are going.
No question. No question. Darrell Dapprich, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
First of all,
quick, guys, it's Darrell's birthday as we record this. Happy birthday, Darrell.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Love you so much. We're all so thankful and grateful for you.
Thank you very much. I mean, I didn't feel like 30 was going to hit this soon in my life, but it really has. And so it's come quickly.
That's right.
I wanted to take a moment to wish you and your family and all the viewers and listeners a happy new year, because we will not reconvene until after the new year.
That's right.
So happy new year to everybody. Thank you for making Locked on Auburn part of your year in 2025. We look forward to great things in 2026. And for the love of God, can we cover a winning football team in 2026, Zach?
That'd be incredible.
That is what we want. We will do the show Friday. We will also do the basketball post game, the Georgia game. Auburn opens up SEC play, so we'll have that going on. A lot to follow, and maybe. Look, I'll be available Friday. I'm off from work. If some things break in the portal, me and you can go live, and we'll talk.
We will post lots of shows.
Yeah,
for sure. I can't wait. All right, please like the video. Please subscribe. And if you're tuned in on audio, please subscribe and leave us a review. It helps the show out a ton. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.